change the government, because it's not working, and that the people have the right to, let me just read it then. Some amendments that were rejected, offered in Congress by James Madison, James Madison, June 8th, 1789. First, there are prefixed to the Constitution a declaration that all powers originally vested and consequently or vested and derived from the people. The government is instituted and ought to be exercised for the benefit of the people, which consists in the enjoyment of life, liberty, without the right of acquiring any use of property or generally of pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. No, saying safety for all, and that the peoples have an indubitable and indefeasible and defeatable right to reform or change their government wherever it be found adverse or inadequate to the purpose of the institution. Secondly, Articles 1, 2, Clause 3, that this word struck out, the number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least one representative until such enumeration shall be made, and that in place, therefore, of these inserted words after the first actual enumeration, that there should be a representative for every 30,000 until the number amounts to, after which the proportion shall be regulated by Congress somewhat, and that the number shall never be less than more, that each of the states shall have the first enumeration and the last representatives in power, therefore. Thirdly, that in Article 1, first, Section 6, Clause 1, there to be added the first sentence, that these words, and these first words to wit, but no law of varying compensation to the certain shall operate before the next ensuing election of representatives. Fourthly, the Article 1, Section 9, 3, 4 clauses shall be inserted clauses to the civil rights of none shall be abridged on any account of any religion, any spirituality, belief, or worship, nor that shall any national religion be established, nor shall the full and equal rights of conscience be in any manner or pretext infringed. No pretext or anything infringed. The people shall not be deprived or abridged of their right to speak, to write, to publish their sentiments, and freedom of press, as the great bulwarks of liberty shall be inviolable and non-violatable. You cannot violate our liberties. The people shall not be restrained from peacefully assembling, and consoling from their common good, that you would be breaking a law, nor from applying to legislative petitions or demonstrations for the redress of grievances. The right of people shall keep to bear arms, not be infringed. It won't armed and regulated militia, if being the best to keep the country a free country, though no person religiously sculptures or bearing arms shall not be compelled to render any military services in person. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house with the consent of the owner, nor at the time, but in manner warranted by law. And you must abide by the law. Men must abide by the law. No person shall be subject to, except in the case of impeachment, to more than one punishment or trial of the same offense, nor person can be compelled to be witness against himself, nor deprived of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor be obligated to relinquish property where it may be for public use without a just compensation. He must be compensated. If you lose property, a person must be compensated. Except the bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines to be imposed. This one person was excessively, they wanted a lot of money for him to be bailed, and they were excessively imposing fines on this one person, and no cruel nor unusual punishments. This one's don't take me away, ha 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 ha, or ha 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 ha. You have to be fair. You can't be cruel. You can't be unusual. And if you do, you're breaking a law. The rights of the people shall be secured in the persons, their house, papers, and other property for all unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated by warrants without probable cause, supported by an oath or affirmation, or not for in particular describing the place to be searched. And if somebody ever tried to say something about me, I'd say that's a lie, and there's no warrant. And I say why, and I say it's a lie. So, and I would say that because I wouldn't do anything. I would never do anything. So they would have to leave by law. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy, the right to a public trial, to be informed of the cause and nature of the accusation, to be confronted by whether his accuser's witness against him, to have a compulsory process for obtaining witness in a favor, and to the assistance of counsel for his defense counsel. Now, first off, a few of these things, or some of these things are in here, but some of the things are not put in there. But everything on here shall now be law, and all of James Madison's and Monroe's and Madison's proposals will be instituted, the ones that were rejected. Saying is a spirituality, is a religion, that cannot be instituted as the main religion. And it cannot be, and the Bible should only pertain to Israel. So this is just stupid. That some things that happen, or some things that need to. It's just stupid. They weren't presidents for nothing, and I'm glad they published this. But no court shall be allowed to value. But no appeal to such court shall be allowed for where the value of controversy shall not amount to dollars, nor shall on any fact trial by jury $20 to the court of common law by other ways, or is it 200 now? It's by other ways that must consider the principles of common law. No state shall violate the equal rights of conscience and the freedom of press in the trial by jury in criminal cases. The right to publicity, if necessary. The Article 3D, Section 2, be annexed to the clause of 2D. These words to be wit and not be. The particular rights that never diminish the just importance of other rights retained by the peoples and the large powers delegated by the Constitution by the actual limitations of such power, or as certainly merely for greater caution. Rights of public trials, counsel. Seventhly, this Article 3D. D3, Section 2, the third cause be struck down and its place to be inserted the clauses for the following wit. The trial of all crimes except in cases of impeachment, or all cases arising out of land or naval forces or the militia when on actual service in time of war or public danger shall be impartial and shall not have an impartial. Shall not be by impartial jury or freeholders of vitiates, which are the requisites of unanimity and for conviction of the right of challenge and other accustomed requisites, and all crimes punishable with loss of life or member presentment of or indictment by grand jury shall be essentially primary, provided that the cases are of the crime committed within any country which may be in possession of an enemy or which in general insurrection may prevail. The trial may be authorized in some other country of the same state as near the seat of the offense. In the case of the crimes not committed not within any country, the trial may be law in such a county that as laws shall have been prescribed, and the suits of common law between man and man. Common law, the trial by jury as one of the best securities to the rights of the people ought to remain inviolable. Eighthly, immediately after the sixth article inserted the clauses following to wit: the powers delegated by the Constitution appropriate departments to which they are respectively distributed, so the legislative department shall never exercise the powers vested in the executive, judicial, or executive exercise the powers vested in the legislature or judicial, exercise the powers vested. Now hold up. The powers cannot be delegated by this Constitution. They cannot delegate the Constitution, nor prohibited to try the states and reserved to this state specifically. The places. Ninthly, the Article 7 by the number Article 8. So some people that are getting banned, that they feel like their rights are being taken away, that the Bill of Rights are being infringed, and they are. And no unreasonable searches or seizures without probable cause. You have to tell them if there's a probable cause. And so there's probably a couple more that I haven't talked about that are on here, this page. A couple pages, few pages. I was in a video or something, or someone said that the Congress, I don't have one, but that certain firearms, certain ones they wanted to confiscate, and that if someone had a gun and they didn't give up their gun if they had one, then the video said that the agent would say that they would use force, and then that's when a person would be able to defend themselves. That's when the person could defend themselves. If they're threatening you, you have a right to defend yourself. If they're being aggressive, you have a right to defend yourself. But they're not supposed to even come to your property unless they have a probable cause. They have to tell you why. You can talk. You can. And arguing, or there was one word was used, hindering. If they fire upon you, it's illegal. You're not trying to kill anybody. You're not supposed to. You're not trying to murder anybody. You're not supposed to. They have no right to be aggressive. Just because if you're telling them to go away, if you say that someone lied, if you're saying you're not a threat or anything like that, they're supposed to leave. You're not a threat. You're not. You're supposed to leave. Leave. People have the right to bear arms, and if officers or cops or police, if they're getting shot, because they're trying to take away people's guns, and if someone says they wouldn't use it but only for self-defense, or they said the Second Amendment, then that's civil war. I want to stay out of that. I want to stay out of it. I don't have one. I want to stay out of it. I see things. I say that James Madison, some things that were left out are put in to the Constitution, so there's more to the Constitution. And this, they shorted it to AMD_JMAT. Madison, son. Great. I'm gonna post a link. I'm gonna post a link. If you're talking to an officer, because some people think that what they do, like in like a few states, or like I've heard, like they think you're arguing with them. You're just talking. You're not arguing with them. You're talking. The shepherd dogs have to learn patience. They're not showing patience. Someone says, "Don't," stop. Don't. If they do it anyway, you're lawman. You have to respect the law first and foremost. And if someone's breaking the law, then. So the original thing of James Madison is saying that even atheism. Now, because I've talked about atheist churches, I thought there was no such thing as a church to an atheist. Atheist churches or whatever community, but like churches, or it's like Christians would go in there with breath analyzers. Satanism, that's against the Constitution because those people are trying to spread it. And Christianity used to do that. It used to do that. And some say the Mennonite didn't like Christianity. They're not forcing upon you anything. And Islam. Islam should be totally. The spread of that is it totally against the Constitution, and that is lost. God should hopefully would see that as lost. Hopefully, lost. This is to protect the future, and they did, and they should. For people's. And Monroe wanted, fuck the Patriots, fuck the French, whatever. They were pathetic after Napoleon. He was a bit weird, but a bit. Though the army became, they became weak. And fuck Egypt. I see these things of Egyptian animals or hierarchy, and there's no other fucking bands of fucking characters, and it's fucking stupid. They're not utilizing. I'm gonna post a link. I'm a real American. American real. Born. Coloradian. Born. Wonder why they were. No, just. Nah. Okay.